Hello and welcome to another episode of Discuss Nigeria on African Free Press Television. I am still your host, Leo Oketa. Today we are going to be looking at a case in Nigerian scenario, but obviously we'll have to make references to some agencies out there outside the country. Today we'll be looking at specifically the whole saga of the arrest of the former Nigerian Petroleum Minister, Mrs. Diezani Alison-Madueke, in London by the International Unit of the British National Crime Agency. Today, to take on this issue with me in the studio is Mr. Clem Agui, who is the president of Move On Nigeria, a writer, columnist, and public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Now, let's get down to business. What do you think actually went wrong for the former Minister of Petroleum?
First of all, I believe that people who have held public office should be held accountable for their actions, and they could be called upon to render account of their stewardship. Over time, there has been this media hysteria against the former oil minister, and some of us have waited patiently for either for the government or the agencies that are concerned to come up with their investigation or maybe bring up their charges against this honorable minister. But none of this came up, so it was a surprise when we read from the social media force that she was arrested. But on investigation, we found out that she wasn't arrested, rather she was invited by the British police in Charing Cross for questioning or interrogation based on petitions they may have received from Nigerian government, and she honored that invitation.
Yeah, and that was it all. Because looking at the media, especially the social media, the way it has gone, it is so bizarre. And then looking at the fact that the EFCC here had to react by going to search her apartment here in Abuja. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it is one of those unfortunate scenarios being created. Do we need the British to prompt our government to do what is right, if they think that is right? If there was an investigation against the lady by the British government, yes, of course, they are conducting their investigation. Unfortunately, the British system is a very civilized system, where you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. If there's an allegation against you by anybody and they look at it at the face of the merit, you can be invited. So anybody can be invited. Inviting you doesn't mean that you already committed a crime. So it's simply crass stupidity, the way where on school the social media has turned journalism into, and everybody begin to say she was arrested, and a lot of lies being told, and very unfortunately also, the government of the country got caught in that web of lies. They became excited. Why are you excited that a former public officer is being humiliated abroad? You shouldn't be excited. It is a thing that should give you a concern. And sorry, if you think you are a nation that deserves some respect for your citizens, you should be concerned, because this was a former public officer. No matter what has happened, you should show concern about your citizens outside there being colonized, being humiliated. And I tell you one thing: if we continue to allow our public officers who have served this country to be humiliated, so to say, by the foreign government, one day our president will go outside the country and he's arrested by the foreign government.
But was she actually humiliated? Like, she was just invited, and from what the reports say, she was invited and then she obliged and reported promptly, and then she was asked to come again and then to report back later. It wasn't actually a humiliation in my point of view.
Yeah, it wasn't a humiliation when you look back, and also from what we're going to learn later. But when you take, for example, the reactions from the government, the reaction from the social media, the reaction from the traditional media in Nigeria, the way they were kind of excited, the way the ruling APC political party was excited about her being arrested, of course you can look at it from the point of view of humiliation. But good and thing, she was not humiliated, she was invited and she answered, she obliged, and she back to her house couple of hours. And they have said that her international passport was seized and all these nothing were lies. Her passport was not seized. Of course, some money was found in her house. How much was that? You're talking about $50 billion. You're talking about $13 billion. A lot of figures were flying up in the sky there. People are talking about $20 billion, $12 million, pounds sterling.
But anything found could be taken as proof or as
how can you be talking about 60 billion pounds and all of a sudden you find 27,000 pounds and that is what proof of what? Proof of nothing.
Which is actually different from reports, because there have been counter reports of what the EFCC found at her apartment.
Who was there in her apartment when the EFCC went there? What was found in her apartment? They found nothing in her apartment. They say a report said that they found 1.2 million naira. What is 1.2 million naira? Is this not what is 1.2 million naira in the house of an oil minister? What is? I'm talking about $5,000. So she should be empty-handed because she was a former minister. 1.2 million naira is less than $5,000 for God's sake. It is within the limit that you can even withdraw from the bank. So what is that?
Well, interestingly, if you
is Nigeria looking for 1.2 million naira? We're not looking for 1.2 million naira. We're looking for the 60 billion naira. You're talking about 1.2 million naira.
Obviously not, but they will tell you, those who take care of these crimes will tell you that anything is what
anything is not. They should stop insulting sensibility. Everything, you can't be saying you're looking for 60 billion and you saw a man on the street with 20,000 naira. You arrested him as a proof of what? I mean, I wish stupid. If that's stupid in the EFCC, we are not.
Anyway, if you were just joining us, we've been discussing another critical issue, and that this has to do with the invitation. Now, let me construct it proper. The invitation of the former Petroleum Minister of Nigeria by the International Unit of the British National Crime Agency. And I've been doing that here with Mr. Clem Agwe, who is the president of Move On Nigeria, a writer, a columnist, and a public affairs analyst. Now, let's get down a little bit to this. We know that this lady, the former petroleum minister, has been, battling with a health condition, which obviously she needs the help she can get, all the help she can get, all the good wishes and all the graces she can get from Nigeria. What do you think? Can this affect her in any way?
Definitely. Anybody that is put under undue spotlight and pressure, there are consequences on that to your health. It's enough to short up your high blood pressure. This lady has been down with cancer even as a minister. She has been managing it. It was covered. After she stopped being a minister, she started undergoing treatment. She had been going to chemotherapy. She has to, in fact, in the next couple of days, from a report from her family, she will be going through surgery. She's on admission as a patient in St. Charles Hospital in the UK. She needs our prayers. But why does this government want her dead? Should be the answer. Even at all the time she was being invited and all this, she was an outpatient. The money they said they found on her was money meant for her hospital bill. Because as a minister of the Federal Republic, she's not supposed to hold a foreign account.
Okay.
And she needs to pay her bills. And this money was part of the money she used in paying her bills for her hospital treatment. And why the frenzy? Who wants her dead? Do we want her dead, or do we want to find out whether she's innocent or not? Why crucify her before she's convicted? That is the question we're asking this government. Everybody, every human being should have a chance for fair hearing. She's not getting any fair hearing. Neither from the government, neither from the public, neither from the media. And the question is why? Why? Because somebody wants somebody's blood. And why must you want somebody's blood at all cost? That's not the way our democracy should run.
And she's looking at the fact that she's quite soft-spoken. Some of the comments we've actually got have come from either the lawyers or some of her well-wishers. But you see,
because she's not very well.
Yeah,
she's not well to join issues with anybody. That's why her lawyers or her consultants have been the ones speaking, because she's battling with her health. Her health is more important at this point.
But rumors equally have it that some of her friends, or probably those who worked with her, are being hounded. How true is that?
There have been so much things out there on the social media. about those who work with her being handed. And my question is again, who are those who work with her being handed? Because I know that while she was a minister, there was MD of NNPC. I don't know that the MDs that worked under her being handed. There were MDs of MPDC. I have not heard of anyone being handed. There are directors in the NNPC. I have not heard of anyone being handed. There were directors and managing directors in the liquefied natural gas. I don't know of anyone being handed. Why are you handing her family? Why handing her children? Why handing her, and her mother is almost 80 years old? What kind of desperation is that?
I think it would make of a good reputation, obviously, when she's okay health-wise, to speak for herself, come back and just clear her name, get this thing over and done with, because it's beginning to make creates an impression that is not normally meant for her.
Definitely, she will speak for herself, and she's also hoping for a day that whatever charges they have against her can be brought before the court of law. She will defend herself. She works for Nigeria as an oil minister. She did her best to make sure that the Local Content Act came to pass, and that Nigerians are empowered to operate in the oil sector. And actually, this is why she's being hounded, because the people who were exploiting and taking our oil and taking the money, which are the colonial people with a few cabals here, weren't happy with her. Because what she did as a minister was to make sure that Nigerians become players in both the offshore and the onshore oil and gas industry. And this didn't go down well with the multinationals. The multinationals also want to be the one to say, this is how much I pay you for operating in your country. This is how much I pay for environmental violation. And this lady tried to rewrite those laws so that they can be held accountable. They weren't happy with her. And we know the atrocity these multinationals have been committing in the Niger Delta areas, in any place they are working anywhere in the world. They are actually in developing countries like Africa. We know what atrocity they have been doing there. We know how they have caused civil war, how they have overthrown governments, how they have punished those who want to stop them from exploiting the population. But the issue again is that our ignorant population are aware why they do this, because they have a way of manipulating society. They have a way of manipulating the media in such a way that you lose focus and you don't know what is going on until it is done. That is what is going on here. Because if not, I mean, have anybody asked any question? We've had oil ministers in this country. Some of them own oil wells. They have properties all over the world. We have a Tiebet, we have Lukman, we have this, we have that, we have a Grey Obaseki. These are billionaires. They had oil wells to themselves. Does Diezani Alison has one single oil well? Did she allocate one single oil well to herself as an oil minister? This should be the question. This is an oil minister that did not have one single oil well, and did not allocate one single oil well to her colonies and her proxies.
Well, I wonder where the information, came out over time, because reading what the family lawyer brought up a few days ago, he was trying to push aside most of those allegations, and it was stark clear. So it's really, really very interesting to wait and hear where some of those information that people put out there on the social media came from. And as well, very interestingly, nobody has made contact to her to ask her some of those questions. That's some of
the issues here. And we live in a global village. And if you want to have access to any information, you can have that information. How can somebody say that you want to buy a house of 12.3 million pounds in England? Which house was that? How can somebody say she's living in a 12.something million? She's living in a rented 4-bedroom apartment. You know the house is known. She's not her house. She's living in an apartment. The mother who was the former director of Shell, lives in the basement, which is a 2-bedroom apartment. But somebody went and wrote that she having a 3-bedroom apartment. And that she's having a house of 12.3 million pounds because somebody wants to create a frenzy of corruption around somebody. And that's totally wrong, unacceptable. Somebody said that her son have 3 houses to himself. How correct is that? This is America here. This is a decent and open society. That if you want to know the truth, you can know the truth. You can ask for anything for information, they'll give it to you. But somebody does not care. You just go into the internet, you Google somebody's name, you see addresses. Of course, if you Google my name today, you see my former address in California where I lived. Does that mean it's my house? People are not prepared to even ask basic questions. And tissues of lies are being pushed out there. And it should be a concern to you as a journalist, and it should be a concern to the audience. Why are people pushing us too many lies online? But what I can tell you is this: because it is said in the news media, because it is said online, doesn't mean that it's correct. Chances are 99.9% are false. Just like many of the things that have been said about Allison-Madueke, 99.9% are false. She is going to be charged to court. Was she charged to any cause? Was there a plan to charge her to court? Did she commit any offense in England?
Yes, there was, actually bringing down the issue of charging to court. There was a counter view by some Twitter persons saying he appeared in court on Monday this week, something like that, and then some other person coming to say, from the court, coming to say, no, the former petroleum minister was not in court.
That's what I'm trying to tell you here. That's the lie that is out there. Did she appear in court? If she appeared in court, is the court a secret place? You would have seen her in court. And what charge was brought against her in court? There was no plan to charge her to court. She was never in court. And if they charge her to court, she'll be very glad to defend herself, because she's not done any wrong. She worked as a petroleum minister. She discharged her job dutifully and responsible to the country. This country owe her thank you, not vilification.
All right. All we can do, the best we can do now for their mother and her sister, the former petroleum minister of Nigeria, Mrs. Diezani Alison-Madueke, is to pray for her safe and quick recovery so that she can come and clear the air. I think she's the only one who is better placed to do this more than anyone. And if you were just joining us, we've been discussing Nigeria on African Free Press Television, and this time around, taking it a little bit ashore. We've been looking at the invitation by the international unit of the British National Crimes Agency, inviting our former minister, Mrs. Diezani Alison-Madueke. And I've been doing that here with Mr. Clem Agui, who is the president of Move On Nigeria, a writer, a columnist, and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
For more stories and more of these, please do visit our website at www.africanfreepress.com. Follow us on Twitter at African Free Press and like our Facebook page at africanfreepress.com. From me, Leo Oketa, it's thank you for joining us on the show today. See you next time.